Hi, now we have an EC2 instance with Amazon Cloud. Now I am going to install Docker and configure the Docker daemon so that it gets started automatically whenever I am restarting the instance. And I'm going to create a Docker container and see how it is working for test purpose. Let me get into the console where I have logged into the EC2 instance. Let me check the status of the instance. Yes, it is up and running. Let me go ahead and do the installation. First things first, I am going to do an update. Sudo yum update -y. It will not ask for the confirmation directly. It will go ahead and do the update so that all the packages will get updated and it will keep it the recent one. Update is done. Now I am going to do the installation of Docker. So I'll issue the command yum sudo yum install -y docker. So the Docker installation will happen. And by default, we will be using the EC2 user. In case if it is required, I can go ahead and create a new user for easy understanding and demo purpose. I'm going to use the same user for all our demo purpose. And I'm going to add this particular user, that is EC2 user, as a part of Docker group so that I don't need to provide the sudo every time whenever executing the command for the Docker. Sudo user mod -eg. I'm going to add it as a part of the group Docker. The user I wanted to add is EC2 user. It is done. Now I can start the Docker service. Immediately after installation, it will not be up and running. I can check the service using the command sudo service docker status. It is not running. Let me go ahead and start the service. Sudo service docker start. The service will get started, and next time whenever I'm restarting this particular machine, I wanted to make sure the Docker service is up and running. Sudo systemctl enable docker. So it will go ahead and create a symlink so that this particular service gets started automatically whenever I'm restarting the instance. And after adding the user as a part of the group and making sure this particular option is enabled, I can go ahead and restart the instance. Let me go ahead and restart the instance. Say reboot. The connection will get terminated. Once the restart happens, I can log into the instance. Let me allow a couple of minutes. Now let me go ahead and log into the instance. Most of the time the DNS will be the same, but there are chances it can get changed. So let me go ahead and copy the DNS instance and check whether it is the same thing. Let me go ahead and load the session that we had saved earlier. Yes, it is the same DNS. Let me go ahead and open. The authentication is successful. I am logged into the machine. Let me check whether the Docker service started or not. So I gave the command docker and it is providing the help. Let me verify it with the command version. Docker version. So this is the version that got installed, 18.09 Community Edition. Now to make sure Docker is installed successfully, I am going to run a container, and don't worry about the terminology that I am going to use. Use the command as it is, and we will be discussing about each and every part of the command that we are going to execute now. So don't worry about the syntax as well as the terminology that I'm going to use over here. This is just to test the Docker installation is successful. Docker run, it will run a container in the detached mode, and it will map the port 80 of the host to the port 80 of the container, and I'm going to name the container as Nginx. And I will use the image Nginx. Nginx is nothing but a software based load balancer. You can assume it as a load balancer. and it will start a container and it will be serving in the port 80, and that will get mapped to the port 80 of the host machine. So it is not finding the image locally, it will connect to the hub automatically and start the container. I can check whether the container is up and running. Docker container ls. Yes, it is up and running and it is up for past 8 seconds. Now, within this particular instance, if you observe very carefully, we enabled only the port 22 to log in using the SSH terminal. Now, I have to open the port 80 so that I can access this particular Nginx. So I am opening the security group, getting to inbound. Under edit, let me add the rule for port 80. Port 80 is HTTP port. So I'm going to select HTTP port 80 and I'll make it available from anywhere. Now let me copy the instance and access the instance. Yes, I have got the welcome page. That means the container is up and running and the installation is successful. Again, don't worry about the syntax that we had issued to start the container. We are going to have a very detailed discussion on what is a container, what is port mapping, and all the details. We will be discussing it in the future sessions. So in a quick summary, we had seen how to do the installation of Docker and how to add the user as a part of the Docker group and how to start the Docker service and make sure that is enabled as a part of the system restart, and we started a sample Docker container.